Hello, this is Matt from Ace Appliance in Toledo, Ohio. Welcome back to another in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Okay, what we have here is a Duet electric dryer. What we've done so far is just remove the bottom access panel. There's 4 1/4-inch screws along the bottom that we took off. You just kind of pull down on the panel and bring it out. The customer's complaint is it's a no heat. So what we're going to do is we're going to power it up. We're going to start it. And we're going to set our meter to volts AC. And I'm going to check actually at the 2 leads of the heating element. Check for 240 volts first. Okay, and we've got 240 volts going into the heating element. That eliminates a blown thermal fuse, any of the thermostats, the relay on the control board, the terminal block, the wiring, everything is going to be good except for the element itself is going to probably have a break in it. So what we're going to do is replace the heating element. Okay, so what we did was we just flipped the breaker to the dryer. Just gonna pull it out a little bit here. Get a look at the venting. And we're gonna have 3 1/4-inch screws on the back side. So what I'm gonna use is just a little ratcheting wrench. Okay, once you get the 3 screws removed, just push back on the top panel there. And we'll remove that. Alright, now we're going to remove what's called the teardrop. Just grab right up in the center here. And you want to be really careful. There's tabs all the way around it. You're going to break some when it comes off. It always happens. Okay. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and remove the screw here for the bracket to the control panel. The 2 on each side. Let's just lift straight up. And you're going to have to disconnect your wiring to the main control board here. And just go ahead and remove that. Alright, we're going to go ahead and completely remove this screw here, the one that goes to the blower housing, right there. The other one in the bottom corner. Okay, now we're just going to loosen the 2 screws at the top. We're not going to completely take them out because the unit will kind of hang on these. Harness here, we'll disconnect this for the door switch. And you got another connector down here at the bottom. Remove that. Alright, and we got one more screw down here at the bottom on the blower housing. That needs to be removed. And finally we've got 2 screws holding the front panel on from the inside. 2 screws it's hanging on. Pull that away. Okay, we're going to reach back in, disconnect the belt, and we're going to go ahead and pull the drum out. Okay, so now with the drum removed, we've got full access to the screws on the heating element here. What we're going to have to do is we're going to remove both thermostats. This is your high limit thermostat right here. We can just leave all the wiring connected. We just need to get them off because they hold the top and the bottom half of the element housing together. This is the thermal cutoff here. If you would ever be to come across this thermal cutoff open, typically it's an issue with the venting being restricted, or your heating element may be shorted out to the housing. This is just basically a safety mechanism that is going to cut the heat off if it gets over a certain temperature. Now we're going to remove our 2 wires. These are the 2 wires that we were checking voltage on at the heating element itself. And the break is actually right here at the terminal. There's a little piece of the element right here that broke off. Okay, and this is where your brake is at. You see the bottom one here. You know, it's all connected. This is the piece that actually broke off and caused the element to have an open circuit. Okay, we got 1, 2, 4 screws that hold the top and the bottom of the housing together. Once those are removed, you can kind of peel it open, just like that. And then you can just lift your element right up and out. Alright, I want to do just a quick visual inspection, make sure your element is all snapped in around the ceramic coils. It's not loose or hanging. Sometimes when they get shipped, it could just pop right out. You don't want it grounding out to the housing anywhere or touching the metal here. When you do install an igniter or an element, anything like that, it's best to try not to touch the coil itself. Keep the oils that are on your fingers off the element. It can create a hot spot and cause them to burn out prematurely. So you got 2 little ears here and here that it sits in. Then your screw holes will line up there. Go ahead and take your top piece. Alright, we're going to go ahead and put our 4 screws back in. Alright, now before you put it back together, if you have a meter, what I usually do is I'll set it to the ohm setting, and I will check from each terminal of the element to the housing. Make sure you don't have any continuity, because if you do, then you know that your element somehow is touching metal on metal. it's grounding out or shorting out to the housing. So we don't have any resistance, so we know that it's clear of the housing right now. If you put it back together and it was touching the housing, it's going to burn your element right back out. Probably blow your thermal fuse. So you don't want that to happen. We're going to go ahead and hook our wires back up to the element. We're going to mount our thermostats back up. Okay, while you're in here, you know, just spin your rear rollers, your idler pulley, make sure everything's spinning freely, you don't have any noise coming out of them. Give the motor a turn, make sure that's spinning freely, nothing's in your blower wheel, and everything looks good, so we're going to go ahead and put it back together. It's always a good idea to kind of clean out as much lint as you can on the inside. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put our drum back in here. Set it up on the rear rollers. Feed your belt around, make sure you don't have any twists in it. And the left side of your belt, you're going to pull it up over the motor. The idler pulley, you're going to pull that towards the left and lift your belt up on it. Alright, now we've got our front panel here. You're going to want to get your two rollers up underneath the drum. Lift up, set it down on your two ears there. Alright, we'll just go ahead and reattach our door switch here up at the top, and we're going to go down at the bottom. We'll reattach the harness down here just like that. Now we've got the two gold screws. They're a little bit longer than the rest. These go into the blower housing. So you got one up at the top here, one down at the bottom. Now you've got a 2/4 inch on the bottom on each side here. Alright, you got your two that go in from the inside. Tighten down your two screws that you just were hanging on. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put the console on here. Just sort of slides right down in. And you need to get your bracket for your main control board in first. Lift up, drop it down, make sure you're not pinching any wires. So we got our two wires here. Drop that down into position. Got your three screws on the top here. Get your electrical connector. It's got a little snap piece right there that snaps into this bracket. Just keeps it from hanging down and touching the drum. Hook that blue connector up to the control board. Your other little white DC connector here. Hook that in. Okay, just double check all your connections. Flip the cover back over. Alright, so we're going to put our teardrop on. Stick it in down there. Alright, snap that into place. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put our top panel back on. We got 3 screws on the back side. Okay, now we're just going to go ahead and put our bottom panel on. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and test it out. Thank you for watching another quality video from ApplianceVideo.com.